Hello everyone, a bit of a longer video today. If you've been following me, a few weeks ago I decided to take on Mark Burnett's Learn Anatomy in 7 Days challenge where I specifically drew hands. Now, forgive me for assuming, but I would like to think that most artists out there would like to improve their hand drawings, or at least to the point where it doesn't look like an AI image generator drew quote unquote. But yeah, just kinda wanted to share my thoughts and what I learned from this experience. And I'll be starting off with the value of tracing. So I know that tracing gets a bit of a bad rap out there. I'm honestly not entirely sure why. Like, I see it a lot in social media, and the main argument I hear is you're not learning anything because you're just drawing off your reference. And that's true, but if you're tracing properly, like breaking it down into shapes, it's actually a very useful way to learn. I mean, professional artists themselves also recommend tracing to learn. So just to give you guys an example, right? Mark Burnett, the guy who created the Learn Anatomy in 7 Days challenge, specifically said on day 3, trace your reference so you understand what the building blocks are for the muscles. And then once you're done breaking down the muscle groups, draw what you see. And if you guys don't know who Mark Burnett is, he was a former senior artist at Blizzard, so he's pretty legit. And he's also got a YouTube channel which is like an absolute goldmine for anyone who wants to learn art. And it's all for free. All you have to do is like and sub to his channel. If you haven't checked it out yet, you should, because it is amazing. Anyway, back to the topic of tracing. So if a professional like Mark Burnett says that tracing is okay and you should be using it for studying, I'm not entirely sure why people are pushing the narrative that tracing is bad. But yeah, I kind of understand that, like, the argument that tracing is bad, because if you start to rely on tracing too much, that's kind of where it starts to become a problem. Like, I can understand that point of view. For example, when you're not putting in the effort to actually understand the building blocks of the subject you're looking at or studying. But at the same time, like, I can understand too if you're in a bit of a time crunch, you probably want to trace a 3D model or something to speed up the process. I don't know, I feel like tracing is a whole different topic on itself, like with the controversies and everything. If you're team tracing or anti-tracing, let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there in comments, make sure you justify, if you want to, justify why you're on that specific team. Anyway, for me, I am team tracing because I don't want to gatekeep a learning tool, especially for beginner artists. Like, the only thing I'll warn them of is, if they start to rely on tracing too much. Like, put in the effort, Put in the effort to understand the building blocks of the subject. Build that mental library, and then hopefully, once you're ready, you're able to draw them from imagination. But of course, if you're not confident, use the reference. And the next thing I want to talk about is patience. It seems like such a simple concept, but I feel like a lot of people also, they forget that skills take a long time to build. Or not a long time, it depends on how fast you learn. My point is, it takes a bit of time to develop the skills required to actually make something look decent. And I see this a lot on social media too, like aspiring artists who want to learn how to draw, and they start drawing and it doesn't look like their favorite artist's piece. And then because it looks ugly, they just kind of give up and never pick up a drawing tablet again, or painting or art in general. Which is kind of sad to see because, for me personally, I want to develop my art skills to the fullest. But at the same time, I also want to see other people develop their skills too. You know what I'm saying? And then you've got people on the other end of the spectrum, like Shaw Diversity, who's... I don't know if he's given up on art, but he's kind of started relying on AI generators to create quote-unquote art. Which is kind of sad to see because when I looked at one of his paintings, I think it was on Twitter, and it wasn't bad. Like, he has some of the concepts done. All he had to do was just push it a little further. And this isn't to shit on Shaw Diversity or anything. Like, I think he has very interesting videos about swords and medieval stuff. Like, I've watched some of his videos, but I don't know. The stunt he pulled on Twitter with AI image generation just kind of made me depressed, you know what I'm saying? But now with programs like Stable Diffusion and Midjourney, they've kind of fed the instant gratification aspect that people these days are looking for. And I think that's kind of one of the dangers of the programs like Stable Diffusion or Midjourney or whatever, one of those AI generation bullshit. Like, it gives you instant gratification, and it also provides you the false sense of you actually creating the result. But back to drawing hands, right? In terms of instant gratification, I was also looking for like the shortest tutorial with the easiest way to draw the hands. And you can kind of see the result of that habit. Like, as embarrassing as it sounds, you can actually, like, if you look at one of my shorts, like day one of drawing hands, you can see how bad it was. Like, I'm not saying that I draw perfect hands now. Like, I don't think the hands like you see on the screen like they're perfect, but I understand them better now. I understand the building blocks. I understand the underlying bone structure. Like, I have a general grasp on how to make them readable now. And, obviously I feel like I know I need more practice with drawing hands. And I'll be honest, like, there were days during the challenge where I felt like, I don't know, I don't feel like doing the hand thing today, but pause. Because of perseverance, because of practice, I feel like I have a superpower now. Like, I'm less afraid of drawing hands, and like whenever I see hands now, I'm like, yeah, I could probably draw that. It might take like 15 minutes, but I know I can probably draw it. Like, my skills aren't going to develop overnight. Maybe they will, but most probably they won't. I'm not special. And that shit applies to you too, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe you are special. Maybe you have, your brain is wrinklier than mine. You grasp information a lot easier than most other people. But if you're smooth-brained like me, don't worry about how long it takes for you to develop a skill. Unless you're in school, okay? Don't repeat a grade. Come on. But yeah, don't worry about how long it takes for you to develop a skill. It'll take time. It will come with time, right? To add to that, here are two quotes by Bruce Lee. And if you don't know who Bruce Lee is, he was an actor and an amazing martial artist, but sadly he's passed away now, as you know, I kind of use the past tense. But the first quote is, "Be formless like water." Because, water can take any shape, form, whatever. Adapt, okay? That's essentially what he's saying, adapt. And the second quote, it kind of goes hand in hand with the water one. His second quote is, "Take what you think is good and useful, throw away what you think is garbage." Or somewhere along those lines. I forget the actual quote, but let's put this into like art perspective, okay? Any artist out there who wants to take their art seriously will want to learn how to develop their drawing skills. And naturally, they will encounter people who are willing to teach them certain things. But the thing is, some of these people are gatekeepers. And I'm not going to mince any words. If you are a gatekeeper, you are trash. These are the types of people who will say, "Oh, don't do it like this. You have to do it like this, blah blah blah." And then you'll probably think like, "Oh, these people probably have more experience than I do, and they probably know what they're talking about." The thing is, with these types of people, right, this is the method that they know works for them. You don't know if that method will work for you, and that's kind of what Bruce Lee is saying. Take what you think is useful, throw away what you think is trash. You should try out all the, available methods out there. The point is, don't gatekeep yourself by thinking that there's only one correct way to get to a destination. Figure out which methods work out best for you, combine them if you want to, and then from there you can develop your own skills or techniques. The next thing I wanted to talk about is letting things simmer. This also kind of ties in with the whole thing with patience, but it's a little bit different. So with the Learn Anatomy in 7 Days challenge, right, there's a specific schedule you have to follow, and for the first day it was understanding where the problems are, and you kind of drew how you understood the body part from imagination. And then after I finished the drawings, right, and I uploaded that video, the entire day I was kind of like, oh dang, they look really 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 bad. So day 2 rolls in, right, and I do the schedule for that day. I think it was like drawing hands with reference, and when I finished the drawing, now I was like, okay, well, they're not really that good, but I do see a little bit of improvement. And I kind of wanted to keep drawing, but I stopped myself because Mark specifically said don't cram all the practices into one day. And this was kind of the pattern that I saw after, like, each consecutive day. I just kept thinking about, oh wow, I'm seeing consistent improvement with my hand drawings. And I think with the whole like letting things simmer in your head, It just kind of helps you with your drive to want to improve. It was almost like an addiction that I kept thinking about drawing hands. And obviously, like I said before, some days I just didn't feel like it, but it just kept coming back to me. And like the thing with letting things simmer in your head too, right? Like I kept comparing my hands to the first day and then like the current day, and I could see like the massive improvements. And like I found for myself anyway, like with all that wait time, letting the knowledge simmer, all that knowledge is kind of merged together, if you get what I'm saying. Whereas like compared to before when I would try to rush knowledge, all that it just got jumbled up together and my hands ended up looking like ass. My hand drawings, not my actual hands. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about is betting on yourself. As with most other things in life, trying out new things can be scary, and that thing for me was drawing hands. Normally I'm used to drawing portraits without hands. I mean, like I've drawn a few hands before, but you know, like I wasn't confident in them. But the mindset was, if I want to get somewhere with art and I want to improve my art skills, I have to draw something else besides just, portraits. And one thing I do like drawing is like characters, and if I wanted to be able to draw characters, maybe take on some commissions, I have to learn how to draw the entire body. The only issue was I didn't really know where to start, but I've been watching Mark Burnett's videos for like a few months by that point, and I came across his Learn Anatomy in 7 Days video, and I thought to myself, well, 7 days isn't too long, I'm not really doing a lot right now, so might as well try it out. And that's kind of where the whole thing with drawing hands for 7 days started. I also kind of saw this as an opportunity to document my progress and show it to the world, and maybe they can give me some pointers. And in that same essence, kind of have other people keep track of how I'm doing. I know some of you have been following, like keeping close eye on my progress, and I'm very thankful for that because I was pressured into actually showing improvements, you can say. But anyway, what does this have to do with betting on yourself, you ask? Like I said earlier, I didn't want to get stuck doing just portraits. And if you're like a portrait artist and you focus mainly on that, that's totally fine. But for me, personally, I wanted to be able to draw the entire body of a person or a character. The point is, overcome your limits, limit break, like in Final Fantasy, you know what I'm saying? Bet on yourself, prove to yourself that you can break past your limits and, become a more fleshed out version of yourself. That's my philosophy anyway. Break limits when possible and acceptable. Anyway, that's kind of all I have to say for now. That's enough rambling for me. If you made it this far, thank you very much for sticking around. If you somehow managed to skip to this specific point in the video, hey, how's it going? And if you like these types of videos, let me know. And if you want different types of videos like story time as well, let me know in the comments. Just know that at this point in time, I am very new to like content creation, and between like drawing and making videos, I might not have all the time to like create longer videos, but I'll do my very best to like stick to a schedule. No promises though. Maybe a little bit of promise. Sometime this week as well, I'm going to start the promised 7 days of feet challenge. Well, I don't know if it's gonna be 7 days or not. I'm not sure if I'll be able to document everything. But at the end of the previous challenge, I did say I would draw feet, so you guys are gonna get a week of free feet drawings. Lucky you. Anyway, see ya.